And good morning and good afternoon. I know my head is slightly cut off there because I want you to see this more than this. I'll open up with some music and then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do today. So let's see here. I'm going to do that. I'm going to start off with this and go back to my home screen here. And how about an intro? You tell me which intro you like better. I guess it doesn't matter. They're both great. Okay, so I'll just start off with this. Oh, you know what? I think this one here is pretty clever. Here we go. So what I want to do today is play. I'm not going to play because there's so many songs that I want to play and show you what I used. I'm not going to play full songs all the way through because if I play this entire list, we'll be here for a long time. So some I'll play all the way through because it's a short song, or I'll just give you snippets of it. And again, some of it may overlap on some of the things that I might have featured a couple weeks ago. But the demo part of this is what inspired me really totally on this is I delivered one of these, actually a few of them yesterday, not yesterday, Thursday. I was on the road for basically all day. I didn't get home till 8 o'clock at night, only because I had a far distance to go. And one of the students that I delivered this to, she's been playing a Lowry organ for years. And so her first nervousness was using it because she's so used to using another product. And so what I said to her, I said, well, when you sit down and you play a song, what do you do? Do you use music? Oh, yeah, I got to use music. Okay, so she put the song up. I said, what do you do next? Well, I go over and I look for a rhythm. Okay, do you always get the rhythm you like? No, sometimes I do, sometimes I can tell. I said, okay, so you select a rhythm, and then what? And then you use the button to set it up, and then you play, right? Yep. And then you concentrate on playing the song, and if you want a different sound, what do? Oh, I push one of the presets. I said, it's no different. And over the years, as many products have been introduced in the industry, okay, and different products, organs, keyboards, you name it, there's one thing that they all have in common. They all have rhythm styles or music styles, okay? They typically have some type of button that sets it up for you to play that style. Of course, you can always change it. And they all have intros and endings, okay? And then they have ways of changing the band. So that last song that I played, Rock Around the Clock, all right? I'm going to tell you what I did, and I'm going to switch back and forth to the camera so you can see it. The first thing you're going to notice, on your panel, you have your screen. Off to the right, there's a button here called Style. Now, you can push that style, but for me, going 6 inches is really far. It's too far away from my hand. No, it's not, but I like to just kind of stay centered in the window. But if you push the style button, it's the same thing as pushing this big orange button. And if you look at the screen here, it really stands out. If you look at it, there's one thing that's totally different visually, the big orange button. And I call it a button. Everything that you touch on the screen to me is considered a button, even though it's not a physical button. So if you notice on the bottom left, there says tempo and chord tutor. Technically, those are all buttons, okay? We're not going to mess with that. Right above the orange button, that's telling you what sounds you get when you select the style and you have it set up for you. That's all it's telling you. On the left, it says left. Okay, now I'll come back to the screen in a second. So when I touch Rock Shuffle, the orange button, it pulls you up to this panel. Now I know many of you have both. Okay, if you have an organ or another organ or even another keyboard, if you look on the left, those are the categories of music. Some of them are similar. For example, if you go to any product in the world, if there's a country styles in there, they probably call it country as well. Latin. Some say big band, some say jazz. Some use the word standards. It's in that same class. But these are all of your styles, your categories of music. Okay? So what I did to play Rock Around the Clock is I went to Oldies. Okay? And you'll notice when I press Oldies, down at the bottom there, there's all of these pages. Some are going to have 3 or 4. Some are going to have more than 4. Okay? So under the Oldies category, each page represents 10 different styles of music under the classification of Oldies. Now if I push page 2, you're going to see there's another group of 10 and another and so forth. And there's really nothing to it other than that. Now I get to page 5. If you look at the bottom screen there, there's a little arrow. If you see an arrow pointing to the right there, that means there's probably another page, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe just 1. And it kind of tells you, if you look at the bottom right corner, if you can see it in the corner, it says 5 of 6. I don't know if my webcam is picking that up good, but, and then I go, and you'll notice page 6 has 5, 6, 7, okay? So basically, after I pick a category, any category, you have many pages to choose from, and you're going to find that some styles are drastically different in that category and some are similar, which is cool. It's good to know. But what I did is I went to Oldies, page 2, and I touched Rock and Roll Shuffle. Okay? Now that I have the style of music that I want to play, which I'm using for Rock Around the Clock, now I have to tell the instrument, I want you to set it up for me to play. Okay? Now I can get fancy and choose my own sounds. Okay? Or what I like to do is start off with what's built in. So there's no confusion. Anytime you select a style and you want this to be set up for you instantly, you have 4 quick setups here. And they're simply called one-touch settings. Okay? Meaning one touch will set it all up. And most people start with 1. You don't have to. Okay? And once I press 1, it's going to set it up. And you'll notice back on the screen there, when I touch 1, it sets up in the left hand this vintage EP, electric piano represents. And a lot of times they give you a picture of the sound. You'll notice that the word left is not lit up. It's dark. It just means it's there when you want to turn it on. If you turn it on, it'll activate and it'll turn white. You'll see it says right. That's right 1. That's lit up. That means that sound is the sound that's currently being used. You'll see it says right 2, 60s vintage echo, and you can see there's a picture of a guitar. It means there's kind of like a guitar sound, probably with some type of echo. And white bars JS. When I look at that, it looks like a 2-keyboard organ. Okay? Now, if I never touch these, the presets will set these up for me, but it also always has stuff programmed. You can turn those on if you like, or maybe you just want to just play and use the presets that's built in. So that's what that screen is. Okay? So all I did, before I played the song earlier, I did a little rehearsal on some of these. I went through and I just went through the one-touch setting. And I just pushed 1, 2, 3, and 4, and And then I forgot I didn't want to use 3, but I touched it anyway while I was playing. So I just picked one and I started. And then I put on an intro. Okay, now, intro 1, there's 3 intros. Intro 1 is very short and extremely simple, which will come in handy for a lot of songs that you want to play. 2 is a little more elaborate, and 3 is more elaborate but much longer. Okay, and I used 2, which gave me that. If I can get it right. If you don't, it's a pretty cool intro. If you put number 3 on, which is what I usually use with this style, you get this. Oh, touch 1, touch setting. Okay, and then you play the song and you use your 1-touch settings. And then as I'm playing, I use, and for those of you who've been on some of our classes, you'll know I refer to this what's called main variation A, B, C, and D. Okay? And so simply, if you're listening to the band, A, B, C, and D is what the band is doing. And it goes from simple to very fancy. Okay? Now, if you go A and then B, you're going to notice it's slightly different. If you go from B to C, B and C is slightly different from each other. C to D, slightly different. So it's gradual. Now, if you go from A to D, it's going to be pretty drastic because D is the fanciest. So why am I telling you all this now? Because as I play a bunch of music, those are the only things that I'm going to be using most of the time. So as an example, let's say I'm going to go back in time. When I started in the business, I learned a lot of big band music. I still love the music of big band and the big band era and band members like Glenn Miller. And I want to play the song In the Mood. Okay? I'm going to tell you what I'm doing now. So let me put it up on the screen so you see what I'm doing. I'm going to touch the orange button. I'm going to go to the jazz category. And you'll see page 1 has a bunch of styles. Actually, there's some in there that will work. But I'm going to go to this one here, page 2. And I'm going to press the style that's called 40s Band Leader Swing. And I'm going to touch it. And that's the style that I'm using. Sometimes I use big band tempo. I kind of go back and forth. That one I like too. So songs like In the Mood, I use this one here. All right, so now I've got my style selected. I'm going to start with number 1, touch setting 1. And a lot of times before I play, what I'll do is just kind of go through them. Now number 3, you notice it's a nice big bright brass sound. So if I decide to use that, I know, hey, it's going to be a nice big sound. It looks like some saxophones and I see a harmony. So a lot of times I just kind of test out what's there first. There's only 4 of them. All right? And then I think what I'll do is I'm going to put on intro 2. Okay? And then I play my song. I'm on main variation A. Notice how simple. Let me just try B now. Main variation B. Notice the band change a little bit. I'll do it again. I'm going to go to number C, or not number, main variation C. And then maybe I'll change the sound. 1-touch setting 3. then I'll just do 1 touch setting 4. Well, so some of those real just simple settings. Now, when I go from main variation A, B, C, D, it's pretty obvious that I'm doing it for the reason I want to change the band. But sometimes while I'm playing, I'll push, if I'm like on main variation D, I'll just push it again. And when I do that, it does a nice little fill there, okay? If I go from one letter to the other, and you have this little button called Auto Fill In Lit, okay? When you go to each band variation, it'll do a fill-in before the band changes. If you don't want the band to change, but you want to fill, you could either use the break button or push the D, that letter that you're on. Let's go back to another hit song. I'm going to go to, I want to play the song La Bamba. I've played that before. Once one of my classes and someone said, "What rhythm did you use?" And I couldn't remember. So I found it today. I'm going to push the orange button. And I'm going to go to the oldies. And I'm going to go to page 4. And then you're going to see a style there called 50s Floor Filler Pop. Okay? Now, I don't know why it's called that. If someone can ever figure out why they called it that, I'll give you $100 virtual money. I'll email it to you. Here's 100, and I don't know where you can use that, but all right. But anyway, 50s Floor Filler Pop. Go back to my, oops, pushed the wrong button there. Let's see, go to here, back to here. So I've got my style selected, and I'm just going to push 1 touch setting 1 to start off with. I don't know, they're all good. I think I'll use them all. And then I'm going to use, and you can have a little fun with this, you can use intro 2 or intro 3. Here's intro 2. It almost sounds like it's perfect for that. Now, if you ever do this where you're going to try out a different intro like I just did, okay, and then you stop it, you have to remember one of 2 things. The sync or start button turns off, or you just push 1 again, and it activates it, okay? But this time, let me hear number 3, see what that sounds like. I'm kind of torn. I don't know which one I'm going to use. Let's see. I have a minute. I have 2 seconds to decide. I'm going to use number 2. Okay. Touch setting number 2, let's see. Now change the variation, let me change it again. And admit somebody into the class at the same time. I need like 2 extra hands. Okay, let me try another one. So, and like intros and endings, if you're new to this, you have 3 intros and 3 endings, and they work the same way. One is very short and simple. You could say it's a little more on the generic side, so it doesn't sound like a song. Intro 2 is a little more elaborate, sometimes caters to a specific song. 3 is generally a lot longer and elaborate. Sometimes intro 2 and 3 are different and kind of caters to multiple songs, so be on the lookout for that. A lot of times I just say, just pick a rhythm and listen to the intros on all of these styles, because you'll find stuff that will provoke you to play a song, okay? Or I should say encourage, provoke. And when you do the endings, it's the same thing. 1 is a short ending, 2 is medium, and 3 is longer. And you can interchange them. In fact, if you're playing, and like if I was doing that, and I was torn between what intro to do, I might do something like this. Start off with the number 2. And then play, bro. Okay, and then maybe I'll do the intro 3, somewhere in the middle of the song. Oh, I just discovered something. Pretty cool. Did you catch it? Watch. Let me test the theory out first before I tell you. I literally just discovered this. Live. On camera. All right, so here's the normal introduction, number 2. All right, that you heard. But listen to number 3 for a minute. Now, I don't know if you caught that, but it actually sounds like a part of the song, the chord progression. Did you catch that? So, if you do it, if you play that part of the song at the right time, while it's playing, I'll play the song. Okay? Now, there was a part of the song that I went. Play the right note, Robert. There we go. But you have to actually play the chord progression. Well, if you're playing it and you just go and hit intro 3, technically that intro 3 is playing that part, so you don't even have to play the left hand. Let's test the theory out. Ready? Here we go. Here we go. Intro 3. And then you can go into the next part of the song. I just learned that. Anyway, better keep moving on. I'll be stuck on one thing. Okay, how about some country music? Anybody here like country music? I only see a third of the cameras on. I'm going to see if I can get some of you other people to turn your cameras on. All right. I'll probably do a thing someday, like if you turn your camera on, I'll give you this. If you don't, you won't get this special goodie. Hey, there's Jim. All right. Country music. I'll play a couple country songs. How about Crazy? Because you're all crazy, right? Or is it me that's crazy? Okay. Let me go to the screen. What's the first button you push? The big orange button. You just touch the big orange button. All right. Now this one's going to probably be pretty easy to figure out what category to go to. Most people that play the song Crazy play it as a country style. Now, before I do that, I will tell you, if you think about the song Crazy, it's in a slow enough ballad that you can, it's one of those songs that you can play it with a country style, But if you go into styles like an easy listening, and some of those like ballad triplet type styles, there's a lot more styles that you can use for it than just country. And they're all going to probably work. Anyway, I'm going to stick with country today. So I'm going to push the country button. And I'm going to go to page 3 at the bottom. And let's see here. I think what I have, oh, there it is, Country Swing Ballad. Okay? Now, if you like the song Crazy, and you pick that style, I'm going to just start off with one touch setting 1. But if you use intro 3, if I remember correctly, all right, it's going to sound like the song Crazy. It's almost perfect for it. And then I think what I'll do is I'll start off with main variation A. Keep it simple. And all that, now, little something to remember, and this holds true for a lot of products. When you use your introductions, okay, I know some products have a thing called alter style, some have main variations and what have you. But when you use your intros and your endings, the intros or endings are going to be what they are. So in this case, I have 3 different intros, 3 endings. The way the band is set to play after the introduction doesn't affect the intro. Okay, so if I push main variation D and I hit intro 3, and then I push main variation A in intro 3, the intro is still going to be the same intro no matter what. It just, all that does is that I tell it how I want the band to play after the introduction's done. In this case, I want the band to be nice and simple, so main variation A, okay? And let's see if I can remember. I usually use the music for this one. So if I make a mistake, it's proof that I'm human. Perfect. Whoops. I did that on purpose. Ooh. I just discovered something in that. I'll share. I didn't test out the sounds earlier on this one. So when I played, I had the intro 3, and I went from main variation A to B. C might have got a little fancier as you're playing the song, which will work nicely in D. But when I did the one touch setting 1, it was the harmonica. Now, by the way, a lot of sounds like the harmonica, harmonica players, they do that. This instrument's very intelligent. So if you play 2 notes together, 3 notes, some instruments, if like a harmonica, if you hold a harmonica to the note, and then you start to play the other note while you're holding it, it works as a solo instrument, and it only plays 1 note at a time. Did you catch that? Some of you look like you got it. Some of you are going like, what is he saying? So listen, look. So I'm holding the note. I can play 2 notes. But if you hold the note down, and then you do the wiggle on another note, all you have to do is hold the note down and tap another one. And it knows that, hey, you're not supposed to go, it's going to A little trick for you. But what I got excited about was when I went to one touch setting 2, I had the piano sound I heard, but I heard something else in there. And then I looked up and I realized it had piano. Now here's the screen. So this is pretty cool. So if you ever have a one touch setting on, okay, and you're curious, remember when you change the one touch settings, it's always telling you what's programmed in there, even if it's not in use. So in number 3, for example, it has a thing called shadowed guitar. That jazz cassado, like an accordion and the other guitar, it's there. You just turn on that button onto the right of the panel. I'll show you that. But if you're just curious when it's there, and you're like, what is going on? Well, how am I getting that sound? That's beautiful. Well, I came across this one and I went, wow, what is that? And it says gospel, vocals, and And I don't know if I did that right, but so now over to the right, what you see in the screen, it says left, right 1, right 2, right 3. You have right 1, right 2, right 3, and left, okay? So whatever is lit is what's on. Now it happens to be all 3. Now I'm going to turn off the piano, and and it's left with gospel, vocals, and this is the sound. And it's exactly what it is. They're going, but they're singing like in tune. And now the other one was just I think. And they were together, so when I was playing, well, I don't know, I'm getting a kick out of that. I'm discovering things as I go here. Okay, moving along. How about some more country? You ever heard a guy named Johnny Cash? Some of you, your mom and dad may have told you who Johnny Cash was when you're growing up, before your time. All right, so Johnny Cash. How about we do? How about I do Folsom Prison Blues? I think that's the way that song's called, right? You ever heard that? Is that the one that goes da 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 da? Okay, it sounds a little better than that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to push the orange button. Now, coincidentally, I'm already on the country category, but I'm going to go to page 2, and then there's a style there that's called Fast Country Blues. There it is. All right, so I got that set. And I'm going to go to my GENOS here, and I'm just going to simply push one touch setting 1. By the way, if you're ever in that screen, for those of you new at this, the rhythm style's up. If you want your home screen back, you simply push the button that says home, okay? You can tap exit once or twice if you have to, or you push home, it brings you back to the home screen. All right, so I've got one touch setting 1. I'm going to use intro number 3, main variation, whatever is on. It doesn't matter. So let's see what happens. One touch setting 2. was fun. All right, we'll switch gears here. How about a little something in the R&B category? Let me go back to here so you see what I'm doing. I'm going to push the orange button. And I've done this before, I can't remember when, but I'm going to touch R&B. And there is a style here that's called Blues Shuffle Band on page 2. Now there's 2 of them. I think I'll do Blues Shuffle Band. Okay? And I like to use this one. I like to use this one for, get my camera back over here, for this song here. See if you recognize it. And how about I use, I don't know, intro 3, intro 2, they're all going to be great. Here we go. I should have told you, got to keep your clothes on when I play this. This is being recorded. We don't need to have any accidents here. Just set the record straight. Main variation B, here we go. Let's see, I was going through them earlier. That's great. I think I'm going to try this one. Yeah, so I'm on one touch setting 3 right now. And I have 3 saxophones on. But I think what I'm going to do, because there's 3 on, I want just the tenor sax that I see on the screen there. So all I'm going to do is come over. It's on right 1, right 2 and 3. I'm just going to turn off 3 and 2 so to have just that. Have some fun with that. Here we go. That's main variation C. All right, one touch setting 4. Let's see. Oh, organ. All right. If you ever see a fancy organ player and they go, there's a little trick there. If you ever want to do that, don't worry about what notes you hit. What matters is the note you end up on. Really. So you can go, and then you got to end up on this note. Then you go. I think they do the same thing. Now watch. Right note. So anybody can do it, really. It just looks fancy. And then you end up at the right note. And then you make a face too, like you're surprised you got to the right note. Okay, I digress. Now D on this style does something kind of interesting. Boy, it really tests your timing. You don't have to be a fancy player to do all these fun little tricks there. All right, how about this one here? This one I have to really sit down and practice one day, because every time I play it, I'm like, what's that next chord? And oh, that chord's tough and that note, but I think I'll get through the song. I've always appreciated the song because I actually used to play it in a band, but all I had to do was play the guitar part. Now when I'm playing the chord and the melody, it's a little tricky. I'm going to stay in R&B, and this is if you like this style of music, there's a lot of great songs by the amazing and talented Stevie Wonder. And page 1, I'm going to touch Super Groove, okay? And I'm going to use intro number 2. Let's see what I got here. I like this. We got a saxophone. Ooh. And then you got, oh, nice little, kind of like a distorted jazz organ sound. Okay, and then there's, oh, like a, what is that? A 50s drive wah-wah guitar. Now, see, I'm mad at that, because I'm guitar player I'm good at. I think I classify myself as a decent guitar player. I had to learn to really play the thing and use a wah-wah pedal to do it at the right time. Now you could just play and it does it for you. All right, now if you use this style, Super Groove, and you use intro 2, I believe, and you play the minor chord, because the song is in a minor key, and it's a key that I normally don't play in, but E minor, and you'll probably have an idea what song it's for. Ooh, it's like a growl, kind of a sax. What's funny is the chord that I thought I was going to mess up, I got. It's like a B minor, and then I had to go to a C chord, and I goofed up the C chord. Out of all chords, to record me goofing up. Okay, here we go. Try it again. There. All right, well, there you go. All right, switch gears here. Totally different feel of songs here. So I want to get back to my rhythm category. How do I get there? They're all muted, so some of them are saying it. Orange. Yes, touch the orange button. I'm going to go to movies and shows. All right, and there's a lot of cool. Let's see here. Oh my gosh, which one to choose? Which one to choose? How about this one? Let's see. Oh, here's one called Movie Ballad. I think I remember this one now. One touch setting. And this is a lot of these styles, they're kind of like, even if you hear the introduction, if you can kind of tell the song that it kind of inspired by, you could play so many wonderful songs around that. So for example, let me put on intro 2. I'm going to start off with just a one-touch setting, and my main variation will be, we'll keep the band relatively simple, so I'll keep it on A. Here we go. Oh, I took off my intro. Here we go. Take 2. Variation B. We'll go to C. One touch setting, we'll try something else. Isn't that pretty? I wasn't going to play it that long, but I goofed up in a certain spot. I said, I got to redeem myself. So I kept playing. What happened was, and I would encourage you to invest in one of these if it's something that you find yourself maybe using. So some sounds, like I put on the pianos and electric pianos, sometimes strings, I like sustain on them. So if you saw me reaching up, I just pushed the sustain button. But I forgot I had it on, and when I switched to the preset that had the electric guitar, okay, what happened was the sustain was still on, so the notes were carrying out longer than they should have. Now, there's some cool styles on here that are very similar to what you just heard. If if you like to play songs like that or slow movie themes, those types of things, you're going to find in the rhythm section. We'll go to the rhythms here. Let me go to easy listening, for example. I think there's some in there. So you see that there's 10 styles of music. Okay. Let me go to page 2. You'll see it there. I think I'm on the wrong button. Oh no, there's a couple there. Now, when I get to page 4, look at the bottom. You'll see it has electric organ ballad and theater organ ballad. And right above each style, it says free play. Okay? I think in movies and shows there's a bunch of them. Let me go back to that. Oh, there it is. Page 2. Look on that screen there. So you'll see it has on Broadway, romantic movie, movie at horns, ethereal movie, ethereal voices, and you can pick any one, and they almost kind of work great for any of those songs that you might want to play in that genre. So, for example, I'll put on romantic movie and see what happens. Okay, and I'm going to touch setting 1. All right, I'm just going to start with what it gives me. And let's see here. Just listen to the sounds and see what I want. Strings, I like the string. I think I'm going to leave it there. I went to number 4. I'm going to leave it there. And then I'll put on an intro. Let's see. Maybe I'll put on intro. Maybe listen to them real quick. Here's number 2. Pretty. Let me put on intro 3 and listen to it. That was just the intro. Boy, yeah, you want to fool some people, call up somebody, say, listen to me, just put on the intro. That was a gorgeous, I forgot what I was doing. I was so listening, I was just paying attention to the way they had the build up or what have you. But if you take a good old classic or any songs of this feel, this style, or any just slow song that you want to play, watch. Actually, somewhere out there would have worked for it if I want, but I'm going to play Over the Rainbow, which is a nice classic. The key to the free play is don't get caught up on the tempo. It's meant to be played at your speed. So when you put your music up for any song, you have your chords and your melody. And they're broken into measures. Okay, forget about the measures and play the song how you feel like playing the song. And when you strike your next chord, it'll automatically follow you instead of you having to stay with a beat. So this is one of those, don't pay attention to a beat or try to. Watch. Play something totally different. that pretty? Well, what did I discover while I was playing it is when I went to main variation, here's main variation A. Here's B, very similar. Notice how it kind of does that little, sound like a, oh, there's a little harp in there. And C. What it does when you push C, it does that fill. But when I got to D, this is what I heard. It's like it just kind of took you somewhere else, like a fantasy. It was just, music is so wonderful. It takes you on all these little rides. You ever heard of a band called the Beatles? You never know. You'd be surprised. Nowadays, I'll say a name that you think everybody would know, and I'm talking like the young generation, and they haven't heard of them. And I'll say something like, do you know who Paul McCartney is? And they're like, have no clue who that is. And I'm thinking, even if you don't listen to the music, how do you not know Paul McCartney? But anyway, so I'm going to go to, I actually featured this rhythm last week, 2 weeks ago rather, when I was playing the song Hey Jude. But I also discovered that if you use it, if maybe you want to do a medley, I think it's under the oldies, let's see. Yeah, page 5, 60s big hit, okay? So if you can kind of have a little fun with this, because if you want to do a nice little medley of Beatles tunes, use the 60s big hit, and then you use your one-touch settings. And intro 2 or 3 works nicely. Oh, let me switch camera back here. Okay. And then let's just listen to it. Here's intro 2. That's good. And if you do intro 3, it's like this. It almost sounds like for Hey Jude. So you can kind of go, but because they're very similar in the tempo and whatever, you could do a nice little medley with it. But if you want to play Let It Be, I was going to get my music and I didn't pull it out, so we'll see what happens. Okay, we'll see what happens. Here we go. Let me hear where the sounds are. All right. I'm going to put on my sustain. Main variation A, B. So, one other little thing. Some of you probably remember this from one of the classes. As I was playing, I noticed something that would have worked for me, and here's what it was. So, when I touch one touch setting 1, I got for that style, I had a nice piano sound. On number 2, I had a nice jazz organ. 3 was like the symphonic string. And then 4 had a nice electric guitar. Okay? What I noticed was those settings, and this is actually true for a lot of the styles, maybe all of them. You may not always be in agreement with it, but it's designed this way, I believe, from what I've experienced. So you have your main variation A, B, C, and D. Like I told you earlier, A is simple, B is a little bit more fancy, C gets fancy, and D gets something dramatic happens. So let's put it that way. Now, if you noticed, every time I've been playing, I've been bouncing back and forth from A, B, C, and D, and then changing my sounds, which you can do. You have that ability to do that. And it's almost foolproof because whatever button you push, it's going to give you a nice setting for that. Whatever button you push in the variation, the bands, they're not going to make any mistakes. But if you have this, what's called a OTS link, one-touch setting, okay? If I put that on, anytime I push a variation button, A, B, C, or D, it'll turn on the one-touch setting that it goes with. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty simple. Okay? So as I was playing that song, I thought, you know what? I'm doing a little bit too much of this. Okay? So I touched the one-touch setting. So as I was playing, I could have just done. If I touch B, the band changes, but it automatically changes the sounds too. C. So, but anyway, the purpose of today was really to, hopefully, there's a song in there that, hey, I like playing that song. And hopefully you could say, well, I know what style to use for that. The more ideas you have at your fingertips, the more you're going to get comfortable with the use of the rhythms. When you have over 700 or however many hundreds and hundreds of styles, it's kind of tricky sometimes. But what I'll tell you is what I've found, sometimes they're obvious. When you push the big orange button, goes through your categories, okay? And then just kind of look through them. And sometimes you'll see something and you may have no clue whatsoever what it goes with. You may look at it and go, okay, the blues. I know it's going to be probably bluesy. Put on your one-touch setting and an intro and just listen to it. Let's see what happens. Intro 3. You may not have any song to go with the board, or you just make up something and you go. Well, we're all sitting here, watch Robert ramble on, talking about who the heck knows what he's talking about. But I think I like the blues. Woo! Well, I'm gonna play my Yamaha GENOS too, all through the night. Anyway, no extra charge for that, folks. And you just have some fun picking the rhythms. Sometimes you might pick one and go, I have no clue what to play with that, and you just move on to the next one. And just you go to the countries. Countries are kind of fun because you kind of have an idea, but you go to the easy listening. If you just listen to some of these, you're going to get some ideas in there. You're going to hear something and go, ooh, that might work great for, I don't know what that is. Standard piano ballad. Let's see. I'm just going to put it on and hit a C chord. Okay, and now I'm playing that. Let's see what happens. Okay, and I just tried, so standard piano ballad, one-touch setting, and I started playing Memory from Cats. And then try it. If it doesn't work, then don't use it. And if it does, you have multiple ways you can save it. Some of you are, old school, take a piece of paper out and write it on there, write it on your music. Some of you type it in your computer. Or you can save it as a preset. Let's see, if I go to R&B, let's see what else is in there. Oh, here we go. This one you'll probably definitely use if you like this style of music from the 60s. Motor City. I've had some people say, what is Motor City? Well, have you ever heard of a singer by the name of Smokey Robinson? Some people know him from the Temptations, right? Did I get that right? Well, if you put on, I'm just going to use one of the one-touch settings. I'll use the one-touch setting links over here. And then I'll do intro 3. I think it's perfect for... Well, I'm going to play one more for you, and hope you enjoyed today's, whatever you want to call this. It was, a lot of times when we do a demonstration, especially when there's a new product or something like that, we have to, in an hour or whatever, we have to show off all the little things that the instrument can do. Picking a style, one-touch setting, playlist, it's got playlists, how it has this chord looper, how it has karaoke, it has all these little features in it. But today I wanted to kind of take a little bit different approach of demonstrating the product in the fashion that if you just put a piece of music and you happen, hopefully, again, like I said, some of the song titles, what rhythm are you going to use? Just because you got it smack dab in the middle at your fingertips. And going through these rhythm styles is going to be a very fast way, one of the fastest ways of just getting music and you playing the instrument. Yeah, it has these features over here. Yeah, it has these features there. Yeah, it's got these knobs. It's got this and that and what have you. But at the end of the day, you want to sit and play a song. You want to just put a song up there, pick a rhythm, and play. I mean, that's why you have the instrument you have. So I wanted today to show you that if you just go in through your rhythm style category and just pick a style, just use your one-touch setting. I've been doing that the whole entire time. And then play. And if you want the band to change, A, B, C, D, and E. Okay? The last one I'm going to play for you is, since we mentioned the Beatles, some of you may know the name John Lennon. All right? And what I'll do, now this one is going to be a slightly different, I'm going to kind of go off script of what I've been doing today. So everything we've been doing today has been the use of using a rhythm and picking one and then the one-touch setting. All right? You also have built into your instrument, I know if you have the Fletcher edition, and most of you, if you've been affiliated with Marco, you have these on your instrument. But if you touch these two registration bank buttons, something's going to pop up on your screen. Okay? Switch cameras here. And it's going to show you, you're going to have, now I have 4 options on here because I have 2 USBs in here and what have you. So I'm just going to go to the user for a moment. Okay? In fact, I'm going to take off my USBs so you could see this. I loaded stuff and I kept them out. Okay? So if there's no USBs installed, some of you may have what's called expansion packs, and some of you have just the user button. Expansion packs are just extra things on it, okay? But I'm going to go to user. A lot of you have this famous people, or what did I put here? Well, that must have been a class that I taught. Let's see here. Marco Mendez class presets, you know, so there's all categories. Richard is a gentleman that shared some of his settings. So I'm going to go to my folder and you just touch it, whatever one you're interested in. And for today, I'm going to touch word GENOS, okay? Now here's where it's really cool. So every one of these has basically presets for these songs that some were for holiday music and what have you. You see it says the rows. The minute I select one, it instantly programs your GENOS with presets. It's just that you don't have to push load and then select and are you sure and all that stuff. You just touch it and it automatically does it. I'm going to touch one that says Imagine. Okay, so I'm going to just touch Imagine. And there you go. So as soon as I touch that, it automatically set up these presets. Okay, so anything that you use from that screen or the playlist, they go here. Now the reason I waited to the very end is because when you play all your rhythms, you're going to constantly use one-touch setting. I want you to get in the habit of using one-touch setting all the time. But if you decide I want to use other presets, that's where these come in. Okay? So for this song that I'm going to play here, I have some presets. And then if you do it, it'll tell you what, when you press it, it tells me what rhythm style. So here's one that comes up when I'll tell you the style that I use, just so you know. It's called Piano Ballad, okay? So there you go. I created my own sounds, but ultimately, at the end of the day, this is the style that I used, okay? So let's see here. I'll just play this and finish off the class with this last number. And I'm going to leave you with, I don't know if you have one or not. I think most of you have a GENOS too. I can tell, I know who you are. Some of you don't yet. I do want to let you know that I did acquire one that someone traded in. They traded in their GENOS 2, so I do have a pre-loved GENOS 2 available. So if you don't have one yet and you'd like to have one, and it has fully stocked all the stuff in here, if you already have one, it can't hurt to have 2 of them. It's always good to have a backup, but maybe one you want to take on the road, or it's always good to, they're easy to carry around. You saw me carry it into your house. Put it in my arm. And okay, so imagine yourself owning another GENOS too. Imagine owning one if you don't have one yet. But if you'd like to know more on that one, pre-owned one, get with one of your staff members or contact me and I can tell you all about it. But here we go. See if I can play this with few mistakes. enjoyed that. I love it. Of course, it sounds a lot better when it's right here, right? That sounded good. Oh, I get so caught up in that. What I'm going to tell you, if you're a Patreon member, when I post this class, I'm going to post those presets and that sheet music. So it pays to be a Patreon member every once in a while, right? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's class, Funshop demo, whatever you want to call it. I hope you were able to get um, uh, I hope you were able to get something out of the class that you can immediately put to use right away. All right, so thank you so much. I always say stay safe, keep playing music every day, but I'm going to add be kind to one another. Always be kind to one another. Be kind to your staff. They work really hard to give you some wonderful classes. And we'll see you real soon. Stay tuned in. Keep an eye on the emails. Check the website regularly. And we'll get you a notice on the next time we do. And we'll do something like this again, okay? Thank you so much. Mwah, everybody.